Hello and welcome to Strange Stories. It's great to have you here. We are all about sharing stories of near-death experiences from around the world in the hopes of bringing some light and inspiration to your day. Our daily videos offer a glimpse into what lies beyond this life, and we believe that they can help us all appreciate the gift of life a little bit more. If you enjoy our content, please consider liking, subscribing, and hitting the notification bell to stay up to date on all of our latest videos. Your support means the world to us and helps us continue to grow. And to our returning viewers, welcome back. We're thrilled to have you with us again. So go ahead, grab a cozy blanket, get comfy, and join us for today's incredible near-death experience story.
My name is Vena, and I had a near-death experience when I was 17 years old. My parents were not travelers, and they were not worldly people in any way. So when an opportunity to travel to Italy arose, I jumped at it. I was just really excited, really looking forward to this trip. It would be my first trip outside of the country, and I was exhausted because I'd been so excited when I arrived. No sleep in the days leading up to the trip, but I took a lot of the no-dose pills, which are 100% caffeine, and I did it right before leaving the airport. So by the time we got our bags and were walking them to the bus, the no-dose had kicked in, and I was getting a little frantic, and so I got on the bus, half lay down and closed my eyes, and my heart started racing so fast as soon as I got on the bus, and it got loud enough for me to hear. My heart was pounding in my chest. It also sounded like a train. That lasted about a minute or two. Then it did the complete opposite. It began to slow down significantly. It was terrifying. I desperately wanted to scream, but I couldn't. It got to the point where I could hear it go boom, boom, boom. Then there was silence. My heart literally stopped beating. That is a memory I have as if it happened just a few minutes ago. But as soon as it stopped, my spirit popped right out of my body, and I saw myself lying on the bus, but I saw everything at the same time. But I was seeing things from a different angle, a 360-degree omnidirectional angle. As a result, I saw my entire body as it lay there. And I was skinny back then, but I resembled a large slab of meat. I had no idea I was dead because it feels like you're in real time as a spirit, which I was. I felt so alive, more alive than I did while talking, or when I had all those noodles coursing through my system. I just felt super alive, super aware, and super connected to everything around me. And there were a lot of energy streams all around me, inside the bus and outside the bus, and it was all connected in some way. And when I say energy streams, I mean energy that came from the people on the bus. The energy was coming from the passing cars. There was even energy emanating from the grass along the side of the highway and the mountains. And I recall the energy emanating from the mountains being a steady pulse of energy, but it was still energy emanating from these mountains. And aren't they the most stationary thing on the planet? So I'm taking it all in. And in the midst of it all, I hear the bus driver, an Italian man, who's very animated and cursing in all this traffic. And I kind of approach him, and my spiritual being just passed right through. There was a man standing in front of the bus driver, and my being just passed right through him. There was this warm feeling that came over me and overshadowed my entire being. It was as if there was a warm feeling and a connection, and it simply whisked me away. And when it did, we entered this white realm. The being did not identify itself to me at the time, but this realm was just the most beautiful, white, pure love you could imagine. And while I was energized in this realm, I was never at peace. I remember having the most peaceful, serene feeling I could muster. And after a while, this being told me that they were my guide, and I asked, "What's a guide?" I went back and forth a little. They said we were going to travel, and we went through the swirling energy. Not a tunnel, but like a combination of dimensions and energy, and a mix of these dimensions. And after all of that, we landed in space. Like space. Here, space. I'd done it before, going out into space and doing some quick astral traveling. I had done it once before, many years before. But what I saw then and what I saw with my guide were completely different because I was able to see different dimensions and streams of energy out in space with my guide. You can see for what seems like an eternity out there, and it's black, but it's also filled with so much energy, so many fragments of these out there particles. I remember there was this enormous thing that I thought was a planet, but it wasn't. It was a real ship, but it was round, and my guide explained it to me and showed me a zoomed-in version of it. And I could see where the actual ship was slightly oscillating. And my guide told me that there were beings in that ship who'd left their home world and were traveling in this planet-sized ship thing, and that their actual presence may frighten me. So I'm probably glad I didn't notice them. I witnessed souls traveling through space. You could only see them as orbs, some of which were moving slowly and others which were zooming past at breakneck speed. There were ships visible out there. Some of them arrived in the form of fast-moving streaks. Some of them were just standing there. Some of them were not moving fast, but they were moving with purpose, as if they were going somewhere. It's incredible. There isn't much traffic in space that we don't see here. And eventually, my guide took me to this different system in our galaxy, not in our solar system. And I saw these beings that were crystallized or biocrystallized, and they were able to blend in and merge with this structure, which I guess could be called their ship, but looked exactly like them. They were transparent, with glistening lights around their edges. Yeah, right, I think. They did, however, have vertical slits for eyes. Their eyes were just like ours, going from here to here, but they were open vertically. And seeing that was very different. But after I'd had my fill of that, and I know my guide sensed my attitude toward these particular creatures. And I feel terrible now because I was so ignorant and uninterested. They said we were going to another part of space, but we ended up on another planet. No, that wasn't a planet. But we went to see one that was entirely made of water, had 3 moons, and the most beautiful sun in the universe. And I remember thinking to myself, isn't the sun supposed to be yellow? I had that thought, but it was such a beautiful sun. It was a light pale blue, and there was very little land on this world, this water world. And we did see a few creatures emerge from the water. There was a huge creature that looked like a brontosaurus, and it could do acrobatics by coming out of the water and then jumping back in. But our whales do the same thing. But we don't have anything like that creature I saw. And after seeing a few of the creatures emerge from the water, we went below the surface and saw all different types of mermaids, creatures, and marine creatures. I saw what appeared to be algae or seaweed, but they appeared to be intelligent beings. They were intelligent, and they moved intelligently. I'm still fascinated by it. And even though I was a spiritual being, going into the water felt like a sticky vibration going over my spirit. When we first entered, my guide had both of us as orbs. But because of these mermaid-like creatures, and I suppose so that we could be recognized by them, my guide widened its orb. And when they did that, it was as if these mer creatures and other creatures noticed us and swam right to it, right to the orb, the huge orb. They began to communicate with one another, and I'm sure they were gossiping about us and attempting to figure out what we were. And I was taking in all of the various kinds of creatures that they were. However, my guide did communicate with them. I didn't because I didn't understand what they were saying. But to some extent, my guide did. And after a while, we left, leaving right from the water. We did not emerge from the water. My guide opened up another type of portal or vortex, and we emerged from it. And then we returned to the White Realm. And back in that White Realm, it was like a classroom. My tour guide showed me a lot of things and explained things to me that I wasn't really interested in. But now I see the wisdom in what they said to me. My guide gave me a few simple rules and advised me to be kind above all. That was most likely the most important aspect. And to enjoy my life. Don't take it too seriously because it's not as serious as we think it is. And some information on how not to use love, but how love can impact our lives, as well as the energy of love and its power. So my guide also warned me not to take such pills again, and that my heart would be protected this time because it took a little beating. But don't do it again because I won't be protected, and I never have been. As a result, they sort of let me go. I found myself thrust back into this body, back onto the bus. But it wasn't as simple as just popping out. It was a little more complicated. You could feel various layers. I could feel various layers of myself repositioning themselves within my body. And it took some time. And when I first returned, I could see and couldn't move. After a while, everything seemed to fall into place, and I was able to regain control of my body. Then a film appeared over my eyes, allowing me to see. And that was the end of that adventure.